Good evening, good day, good morning, wherever you are on this wonderful planet of ours. It is time once again for the Thursday night edition of the Third and Long podcast. My name is Shane Harris. You should know the gang by now, but if you don't, let me fill you in. Directly above me is Oliver Butler Henderson, the man in the middle, Mr. Philip Perrins. And the gentleman down on last but very, very not least, my old buddy Oliver Hope. And as you can see, we have a mystery guest, but I'll let them do the talking on that one. Gentlemen, how the devil are we?
All good, mate. All good. Now I've dried off after training.
I think the question should be asking, how are you after your gig last night, Shane?
I'm not as young as I used to be. In all honesty, I can't wait to go to sleep. The carbs are in bits.
Shall we let our mystery guest introduce
Yes.
himself?
Yes.
Through the keyhole, ladies and gents, through the keyhole.
Hello, listeners. Hello, viewers. My name is Tebbs from Sportank, specialising in basically everything Britball. And thank you very much, gents, for having me on.
Now, I've said on the show for quite a long time, and I was, saying about since the NFL season has finished, and I've got massively involved in, actually genuinely too involved and too invested in the XFL. But considering that myself and Ollie, we both played. I played at Uniball. Some of my happiest times, some of my best ever memories was playing Uniball. And I came across Kebs, Chris, and his website. Well, his actually it was the Instagram page that I found initially back in October time. So, Tebs, you work with a group called Sportank, and what do Sportank actually? What do they do?
Well, we sort of pride ourselves on being very much a news service, like promotion for British American football as a whole, focusing on not just Uniball but also the senior season and women's football as well. So we get up all the scores that have happened. We keep track of all of the games, written pieces about each league, and we've also now just started live streaming games, going and commentating with a fairly decent setup. It's still quite new, still quite raw, but we are learning our way through it.
I saw one of the pictures that you put on. Yeah, I saw one of the pictures that you put on your Instagram of you on the sideline setting up. I saw you the cameras, saw the microphones, and I think that's just such an amazing thing, especially for Uniball, but also Britball as well. I mentioned before to the guys, and I think I've said it on air. When I played, it was a website, it was a Facebook group, or Facebook page, called Double Coverage, and they used to report on all of the uni games. So the scores would go up either Sunday night, going on to Monday, and then that group, the people that ran it, they kind of moved on. They didn't continue it, and it died a slow death. And being a alumni of Worcester Royals, and still wanting to support them, but their own social media page went for quite a lot of turnover, where a lot of people weren't updating the scores, or even this season, this is not throwing shade at anybody from the Worcester Royals. They would promote the game, but then they would never actually say what the scores was to begin with. So when I came across you in Sportstown, I was genuinely over the moon, because it's not just looking at how Worcester are doing, but how British American university football across the country is doing as well. Because I'm always fascinated each year to see whether or not the same teams are as dominant, as they were when I was there. How have you managed to get your links with certain clubs, in certain teams and certain universities? How have you gone about getting those relationships?
It's basically just by being good hosts, knowing that we've got the intention in our hearts to build the game. The teams, especially Uniball teams, that very well might not get the large amount of coverage, say they're in Division 2, they'll still be covered. They'll still be still have the same coverage as a Prem side, and it's simply just by shining a spotlight on all these teams, and they know that we're the place if they want to get a message out, if there's a pitch change, if they're doing a fundraiser, if it's a charity event, if they just want to sort of hype themselves up, then they'll tag us in the post, and we can broadcast it to an audience that may not be people who are just at that university, which very much is the case for some of these university teams' pages, is that that a lot of their supporters are either friends of family or members, ex-members. It's difficult to get that reach outside of your sort of local area. So we hopefully provide that to be able to spread the message and hopefully get more people down, get more people interested, know that there's a Uniball team nearby if they feel like going down, or even if it's younger players who are about to head off to university, they can see, one of my choices is, let's say, Worcester. Okay, they've got an American football team, fantastic. Let me shoot them a message, and we'll go from there.
Chris, can I ask one question before we continue? Did you say that they were sort of like that you get involved with announcers or commentators on your side of things? Because I know somebody in this group who is very passionate about American football and also happens to love the sound of his own voice. Leave that one up to him.
No. Come on. I mean, my year 9s already know that I'm incredibly insufferable anyway, so I don't think I need to talk more on. So, being privy to, like, obviously a load of the American football teams in the UK, even the top teams going all the way down to the bottom, which uni team this year, and you don't have to necessarily talk about like the Premier teams or the Division 1 teams, who are the teams that stood out to you in terms of where they've come from or how dominant they've been, or who stood out for you this year?
There's a few. At the start, before the season started, within the pre-season, I wrote quite a lengthy piece, basically giving a star rating to every single Uniball team in the country with a blurb about each team, how they've done, and how I feel that they'll do. So that's sort of been the basis of where I rank teams. There are teams that have just come out of nowhere and done well. For example, up in Scotland, you've got the Heriot Watt Wolverines, a very tiny university. They've managed to win the Borders 2. They're now in Div 1. No one saw that coming. For me personally, I really also like the story of the Leeds Griffins. Last year they were in the Premiership, went 0-8, got demolished. They got the number 1 seed in Div 1 North. They're now in the final against Loughborough on Sunday. The winner of that goes up. There's so many, like Bournemouth Uni Bobcats last year. They ran through the Div 2 Southwest, ran through it, got promoted. They're now in the final to go up to the Prem. Just like that, a straight shot. Like Reading Knights, they fell again last year. They think they had won one game, got battered. They had a change of head coach as well. They've won the league. They're going back up. Also for me, and I know that this may seem biased, however, one for me that I tend not to report on very much due to the fact that I do play for Gloucestershire. Given that Gloucestershire's season record has been 0-5, then 0-7, to now 5-1. It's a good story, and there's so many that I'm like missing out on. Leicester, same thing, dropped down, straight back up. There's so many of these interesting narratives that like I try and get across to people because I love to see it. I love having people on from these clubs to talk about their seasons and how they've managed to accomplish these things that I'm sure outside of the Britball sphere, I still think are interesting things. People, it's because Uniball means so much to so many people, and to be able to put these narratives across, there's a lot of teams. There's some that have flopped, but it's like, as you guys know, with Uniball, because it's so cyclical in terms of players coming in and out. Like anything can happen. Anything can change. Like I'll wrap this point up in a second, but you've got teams like Stirling, powerhouse Stirling Klansmen, amazing.
Yeah,
they've been relegated. They're now in Div 1, and it's if you would have said that 5 years ago, that would have not been probable at all. But it's things like that, and it's just these little stories that I just love to talk about.
Chris, we just actually had a quick question from our viewer asking, are the Bristol Aztecs to the team?
They certainly are. They are Premiership side. in the south, they're doing very well, very well.
I've played against them. They are a very tough, very physical team.
Yeah.
I hurt. I was aching when I came home that day.
So,
very painful day.
You mentioned too, and you alluded to just prior that your current affiliation with the Gloucester Gladiators. So we talk about like uni ball in general, but like obviously you are a university student. Do you want to just talk us about, how you fell in love with like American football, but also what do you currently do at university when you're not repping the Gladiators?
So, in terms of what I do now, like I'm in my first year of a doctorate in journalism. I've done 4 years at the University of Lincoln, played for the Lincoln Colonials, did a bachelor's in sociology, master's in sports journalism, and then obviously now I'm here. And it's sort of how I fell in love with the sport. It's very much what you said, Phil. It's you look back on those times with such reverence, and you don't know what it's you don't know how it feels when it's over. And it's just that feeling of something that I wish I had when I was at the University of Lincoln. I wish I had this, representation. Like I can go and check these things. Because I remember being a player when Sportank was Gridiron Hub, and they used to do predictions, and it was a percentage, and like we'd get annoyed when they'd say that, oh, we're going to lose to Kiel. We'd go angry, and it's so strange being on this side of it, where obviously now playing, was I didn't have last year. In this lengthy article, for example, I ranked the Reading Knights 2 stars, and I then had to go and play the Reading Knights, and a lot of those players during the handshakes on the walk through did ask me, are we still 2 stars? Are we still 2 stars? Are we still 2 stars? The same thing happened with
talking like.
No, just on the way through, because like after Reading had beaten Gloucestershire in the playoffs, I had 3 of the guys on the show the next day. Like there's never been a case where a player from a Uniball team has like been malicious. It's all in good fun. Like multiple times this season during those handshakes, I've had people saying, "I love the show. Thank you for what you're doing for the sport." It's been lots of those. It's been a great experience, and being on the inside of a team now, it's just amazing to see sort of how receptive people are to Uniball. Who I very well may only see Uniball teams if I go and watch a game, for instance, but being on a team now and sort of having this actual appreciation for these actual players who I'm talking to and talking about, it's been humbling. I'll put it like that.
So Tebs, we just got another question from a viewer asking if you liaise with Adam W. And is he still involved with football and the Tag Jags? Not sure if anyone knows this.
I don't know. Adam W. I think the only Adam W I know is a guy called Adam Webster who I played with at Ouse Valley, but not on Adam W. Not that I know of.
Okay, maybe Dave will come in and give us a bit more information about him if he knows. But we'll see.
Obviously, you told myself and Phil pre-show that you play centre. Obviously, Phil played tight end, defensive end, and I was a DB myself. How did you find like getting into it? How did you end up playing centre, not on the line or on the dark side of the ball?
Well, so this is it. This was my first year at centre. I came to Gloucestershire and they knew I was coming. I made it clear on our show, The Rundown, last season that Gloucestershire was one of the universities that I would be applying to for my PhD. So they knew I was coming, and they came in with a plan. Like it wasn't a question. It's Chris or Tebs, as I'm known now. They're like, you're going at centre. I'd never snapped a ball before in my life. Never in my life. Like at Lincoln, I was D tackle. At Ouse Valley, I moved to left guard, and then I was there for Caesars as well. But yeah, it's been a great experience learning a new position, because like when I was at Lincoln, I wasn't like I never really started a game, to be honest, and then to come to Gloucestershire and like have a complete change like that, and then be able to be in sort of I can see the forest through the trees with Uniball now ending, and being able to have the opportunity to start every game, to play in every game, to be someone that is depended upon, has again been a fantastic experience. But yeah, I tell you what, it's more difficult than it looks. God bless those like Jason Kelsey. God bless him, because there are points in which where I'm just worried about I'm worried about something, and that ball can be slightly high. It's not happened a lot, thank the Lord, but it's happened. Like having to worry about like having hand warmers, feeling like a quarterback. It's things of that nature that are completely new to me. Worrying about like this is one I had to deal with. Not like putting hand lotion on because it makes my hand too slick and the ball flies out my hand. Just silly things like that is just that you don't think about. Bit like before you play centre, just silly little things. But I've enjoyed my time at centre, and hopefully it will continue.
So you are planning to carry on playing after your uni days then?
After my uni days is something, because that's 4 years off. As I currently sit here now, like by the time I finish university, I will be a spry 31-year-old.
31, the pup.
Ollie doesn't even know.
Not
what
like
but with that, it's like because Sportank has sort of has endeavoured into the live stream space. Is decisions that I've got to make. For example, this year, I won't be playing for a senior side because I feel as though the opportunity to go and commentate games and go to all these teams around the country doesn't come up very often for people to go and liaise and go and speak to people and like get coverage for teams that very well may not have had it in their mindset that a live stream was even possible. For me, that takes precedence over me wanting to, go and play, because it's a shame because I went to go and I had a training session with the Oxford Saints, and there's a couple of familiar faces from my time at Lincoln there, and it was so good to be around those guys again. But the opportunity again is just such a rare opportunity to go and commentate that, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to grasp it with both hands.
Oh, definitely. We'll see you up there with Tony Roman at some point, I'm sure.
I'm not that good, strangely. Sometimes I've been bang on the money, but not all the time.
So I'm just going to just a couple more questions to talk about. Now you've played for multiple teams. Do you ever like any superstitions as a player, like in terms of like rituals that you do? Because like I'm just going to tell you about mine. Like obviously playing at university, do you still do the card checks before the games?
It's strange because it's all online now. We've only had to do one this season, but yes, we do.
So like the card check for like anyone that hasn't played is basically it's when one member or coach or committee member from the opposition team will come over to your sideline before the game, and you hand over your uni cards, your uni identification, and it's basically just to check that they haven't just like brought in or hired any proper seniors or ex. Well, yeah, absolutely. So like you do your little card check. They call your name out, and then you kind of line up and so on and so forth. So like my superstition when I played junior ball was I always wore pink gloves, because the Royals wore either blue for home or white away. So wearing pink gloves, I could always guarantee that if I put my hands up in the air, the quarterback would find my hands. That was mine. So I always wore pink, a colour that would stand out on my hands. And the other one was I would always make sure, almost like a Paul Ince or kind of like Vinnie Jones kind of thing, that I would always make sure that I was the last one to get my name called for the card check. So I was team captain. So I was always make sure that I was the last one, so I like just do the hype dance and everything. That's my superstitions. Do you have a superstition that you go through?
So it's so strange. I didn't used to, but this year I found myself I found myself doing it. Like it's a silly, like the night before I always have basically some pasta type meal. If I don't have it, then I genuinely will lose my rag. In the morning, I've got to make sure I have a red Gatorade. That's it. I like it's a red Gatorade, and drink that before the game. And the one that I've maintained from my time at Lincoln is, like some people will get on the coach and they'll have like a Dolphins cap on or another NFL team. I can't wear any other team's merchandise. Nothing. Like it really throws me. It really throws me off. I don't know what it is, but it's I can't wear another piece of team's merchandise before a game. I'm trying to think if there's any other ones. Oh, the one that I've also got this year, and it has made me better, is my hair's quite long, and it was getting all in my face. So I started braiding my hair, or I didn't, someone else did, and that's become one because it just feels like that's just the next level that's the last line of preparation before I go and play.
So you almost like become like a bit of a Viking then, because I can see you've got some blonde locks anyway. So is it like almost? He's having like a bit of a berserker.
So the first one I did was when we played the UE Bullets 2s this year, where I had the Tyreek Hill braids in, and then
Have you got
then
the
it's that
pace?
mate. I don't think that I could even keep up with him. Like he could have a solid. I could have a 15-minute head start, and I'd still lose in a 40. Do you know what I mean? Like it's there's no chance. Like, and then it's sort of gone back to like a Viking style. Just you can just keep my stupid hair out my face.
And a couple more. Actually, this is just a genuine question. Obviously, you probably are the best person to ask for this. In my 3 years at Worcester, Birmingham Lions always used to do Explosion. Do they still do Explosion?
They do Explosion. Yeah, I was actually there this year. They faced Cardiff. One of the most spectacular events in Britball, as far as I'm concerned. I've never seen a crowd at a Britball game that was that big. Like I was on the pitch, and I just had a shot of like the other side, and it was packed, massive. Obviously, fireworks, the whole 9 yards. It was just great, and I feel like it doesn't get enough recognition for like what it is. Yeah. And we had some Birmingham Lions.
Yeah, go on. Sorry, Sebs, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, we had some Birmingham Lions on the show to promote it going in, and they seemed like it was good. But I do have another one for you. So Cardiff, who was in the south with Birmingham, so they lost against Birmingham in Cardiff's away fixture. So when Cardiff played at home against Birmingham, they called it Implosion because Cardiff hadn't won a game that season, and it was very funny. There you go.
So what is Explosion? Just
do you want to explain, Tabs?
So when Birmingham have their open days for their university, they make sure to schedule a game for that day so the most amount of people can come and view it. And basically, it's a fireworks display. It's you've got the food vans, and it's just like it's the most American college feeling game that I've been to. Like, and I've been to the national finals, and the level of hyper explosion. They've got someone over the tannoy system, but it's just this huge thing. And Birmingham promote it. They have got the cheerleaders there, but the whole university gets behind Explosion, because it's not like, say, a varsity where it's multiple sports and it's just a big day. It's simply Birmingham American football squad versus whomever their opponents are at the time.
Yeah, it was a big thing. It was almost like for like other teams, like what it was like in Worcester. It was that we would go almost like as a social. So it was like, come see what other universities do, because this is going to be like the biggest event that we'll see. And we managed to go the year that Cecil Martin came down. Cecil Martin used to be one of the presenters on the NFL Sky Sports show. He used to be a running back. Oh, no, he's a fullback, I think he was. And we were there as he was presenting for Sky Sports. And, they show clips the day after, showing it on the screen, where like you just see like the fireworks, you see the fans. It's huge. It's genuinely huge. And again, it's another thing that it was so all encompassed when we were there playing uni ball, and now I've kind of come out of it and I live down the south now. I haven't really heard much of it since. That was just a genuine question. You mentioned that Gloucester, I'm not going to say crashed out of the playoffs, but aren't in the playoffs. For the rest, their season's essentially over. However, we are at that point of the year. That was my personal favourite time of the year. I know, talking off air, you didn't feel the same way that I did, but it's coming into varsity season, isn't it? Where the Worcester Royals will go up against their long-term rivals, the Cheeseheads, Gloucester Gladiators. Okay, so when is varsity for Worcester versus Gloucester?
So it's the 26th of March, and it will be at Worcester. You've got that going for you. It's going to be an interesting one. We've been given the lowdown that the Royals have reloaded, and they aren't going to be they aren't going to be the same team that we beat in the regular season. It's going to be a different squad. And one thing that sort of Gloucester have to do is we like regular season is they need to think it in their heads. It didn't happen. Like this is a completely different team. We've not faced the Worcester Royals this year. That's my take on it.
Okay. So my former defensive coordinator is now the Worcester Royals head coach. So Ian Hughes. Wow. Yeah. So I saw that the other day and I was like, oh yes, he's brilliant. I mean, he was my first. This was 2015. I started playing for Worcestershire. So so he was my first defensive back. He was still a really good player, still kind of playing in them days as well. Every now and then he'll slot in. So he's good, and he's very precise on what he wants and knows exactly how to coach a team. So it's going to be difficult.
I mean, I don't know what the atmosphere is like now, but like because the Gladiators started up the same time as the Royals did, so varsity between the two teams has always been, we're essentially like siblings, or younglings, babies, and we're almost the exact same age. So every time that we played them, especially when we were there, because we played them in the regular season because we're in the same division, but like it was always bloody. Like it didn't matter like if we played Birmingham or Coventry, or when we played DMU or Leicester, or even when we went to Exeter, or even Lincoln, because we played Lincoln every year that I was there. We just hated Gloucester and Warwick. Oh god, we hated Warwick so much, but we hated Gloucester. we hated Warwick so much because they would always beat us, but they would always beat us by one score, and it wasn't even like a blowout. It was literally just like either by a field goal. We hated Warwick with a passion. But yeah, we always hated. We just hated Gloucester. It was just a blood feud. Now I don't know what it's like now. You played in the more recent game against the Royals. You did beat them. You alluded to that. We let you have that one. But what is the atmosphere now when it's Worcester Gloucester?
Honestly, truth be told, like we were expecting the regular season game to be, this is going to be, nails to the chalkboard. This is going to be a hard fought battle, and like it was. And we were expecting, there to be, shenanigans from, either side, because this is such a heated rivalry. Genuinely, everyone was really nice.
Well,
I
feel like Roy Keane now. I'm going, oh, well, we should be.
I wish that I could tell you that, like, I wish I could tell you that I felt that little extra, pep in the step, and like it was there. It was there because obviously the teams, but like after the game, everyone was really nice. But I'm sorry to burst bubble, but like everyone was,
You wanted some stories.
Yeah, I kind of honestly like. I wish I had some, some stories for you. But it was, Worcester played well. They put the first points on us that we'd allowed all season by that point. And they played hard. We played hard. Nothing was going on. It was just a really good game.
Right, fine. Whatevs.
Can I ask a really quick question? I'm going to ask a real. So, Black Knights had rookie karaoke, and I know some of the guys who came from Birmingham brought that with us as well. What was your rookie karaoke song?
Nice.
Oh, so I don't remember what it was for Lincoln because that was so many years ago.
I remember mine.
My one for this year was Country Roads.
Oh,
Nice. Do you want to give us a rendition?
No. I can't remember what it was for Ooze Valley either. I just remember one of the D linemen for his rookie karaoke put out an absolute belter of "I'll Make a Man Out of You" from Mulan. Absolute hero.
That's quality. I love that. That's brilliant. That is
nice. That was some brilliant. There was a couple of really good ones that.
Well, you say rookie.
So
I was out last night, belted out "Party in the USA" to the crowd of glad.
Jumped in the plane at LAX in my dream in my cardigan. Welcome to the land of fame excess. Whoa! Am I gonna fit? Oh my god, yeah, that's banger. Absolutely.
That's it. Just belt it out.
Brilliant.
Love it.
Love that.
Not just a little email boy. I can put out some Miley Cyrus as well.
Yeah.
That's actually quality. That's actually quality.
On the coach, on the way down to your first away game, rookie karaoke. Yeah, it's mental. I mean, it's probably the reason why I'm traumatized why I can't do presentation of speeches because of that experience.
So, Ollie, what did you sing then, if you remember it so well?
Yeah, come on, bud.
I think mine was actually Push. It was In the End by Linkin Park, I think.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Badly, it was no Chester, but it was badly.
What's In the End by Linkin Park? What's that song? I don't know it.
You know exactly what it is. I shared it into the group last night.
No, mine was Basket Case by Green Day. Always Basket Case.
Oh, mate,
I think I'll put this one up for the viewers and the listeners. I'm quite adept at karaoke, shall I say? I don't need a bucket to carry a tune. What do
you've got those Welsh pipes. You've got those Welsh pipes.
Don't leave it. What?
What? Got those Welsh pipes in you.
Right, correct, but Tom Jones, eat your heart out. But as I said, if any of the viewers or any of the listeners indeed can guess my karaoke song, we'll have a bit of fun with that.
Do you know what we should do as a poll? We should actually ask the listeners who they would like to hear do a karaoke song of their choice, and the winner or the loser has to perform on the show.
Well, it's funny you say that.
No one's going to want to listen to me because I'm
As you guys know, on Saturday night, I was at karaoke for a friend's birthday.
Was it Ollie?
No, I only did one song.
What was the song?
What did you do, bud?
It was Viva La Vida, Coldplay.
Ah, of course it was. Of course it was.
You've got to be AC/DC, Back to Black, or something like that, haven't you?
No. You don't know. I will tell them next week.
So, Tebs, you've told us already. You alluded onto the show that you're a Miami Dolphins fan. You're massive NFL fans. I mean, Shane at the bottom. I don't know if you listen to any of our shows. Shane's actual lifetime idol is Trent Dilfer. He loves Trent Dilfer. That's how he became invested into the NFL.
He's a big name on the show.
Well, I've actually been trying to get Trent Dilfer on the show since September, but he's blocked me now.
Is he blocked easy now?
I even tried to go through like Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless as well to try and see if I can get Trent in, but Trent's not having any of it. So how did your love for American football begin? And then we'll sidetrack that into some huge NFL news.
Yes.
So mine was I sort of did it the reverse way. I started playing uni ball, and I will admit that in my first 2 seasons at Lincoln, I was sort of very much just a casual fan, not paying too much attention. I'll play Madden. Yeah. Then in my third year is when the Miami Dolphins became probably my only personality trait at this point. Where
It's not funny.
And that was the year, and that was surprisingly the year where we sucked tank for 2 a season. And I remember being in Walkabout in Lincoln when we beat the Eagles, and we obviously the Dolphins were horrific by this point, and just basically getting as close as I can to the nearest Eagles fan and laughing in their face. And like through Sportank, I've had the opportunity to go to last year the press and practice for the Miami Dolphins, where the highlight of my life so far, I've just not been able to top, is be able to go to that press conference and ask a question to Brian Flores, to Tagovailoa, and Christian Wilkins as well. And like that's just compounded it. Like there's like that week where I was able to go to the press and practice and then to see the Dolphins game live, still not topped. If I think about it too much, I'll probably cry. But I also don't remember the end of that game, so who knows? I don't know what happened at the end of Dolphins Jags in London. I don't know.
I know. Me and you were at that game, weren't we? I
Yes.
believe is that the one that you left early?
Huh? Yes, that was the Beer Snake game.
Yeah, me and Ollie were both at that game.
Yeah, I don't know what happened at the end. Is that my memory?
I have many gigs like that end with I don't know what the loss was.
It definitely wasn't a 54-yard field goal to win the game for the Jets.
No, it couldn't have been that. Couldn't have been that. No.
It was a doink, wasn't it?
No, that was this season. I
know, I'm being silly.
All right, so should we look at our main headlines for this week, gents? We are 40-something days away from the NFL draft, or if you are a 49ers fan or a Dolphins fan, it doesn't really affect us up until Sunday, so we're not really that interested in what's going on.
So we'll leave these two for a minute.
Round. So big news fast. Ted, you're more than welcome to stay with us and have a wee chat about like some of the NFL news around that side of the pond. I don't think I'm going to mention too much about the XFL. I'm going to talk a little bit about the ratings later on and the potential investigation into some match fixing. But we'll come on to that a wee bit later on. Who wants to lead the talk about Daniel Jones finally getting that bank?
I want to say something about this.
Go on.
I think Daniel Jones has been massively overpaid. 160 million.
Let me surprise.
40 million a year. If Derek Carr is only getting 37.5 a year, I struggle to see how Daniel Jones is worth 40 million.
For 1 year's worth of good play. And tripping up after a 95-yard run.
I mean, if we want to go into one year of good play, let's move on to Geno Smith, who's also been massively overpaid. But
oh god, yeah.
I think of the 3 quarterback deals that happened this week, I think the most sensible one of them all is actually Derek Carr, because he's an above mid-level quarterback for more than 1 year.
Yeah, I mean, I think we both had him in our top half of our quarterback countdown to the 32, didn't we? Yeah. I think I might even have had him top 10. So he's always been there.
I think I had him 12.
He dragged that team to the playoffs, and then he broke his leg in the meaningless game. And then that one, he had them to the playoffs year before last. He played okay last year. He had his high school friend, so he's done really well.
He made the Pro Bowl last year. Yes, by default, but
I was about to say kinda. Shano, we always ignore your Ravens, but go on then.
You can't ignore them this week. 2 words: non-exclusive.
Lamar out.
Yes, we have finally, I would say nailed him down, but not quite. LJ has finally, we've tagged him, non-exclusive deal, which basically means for the uninitiated that we have him until something comes along which we decide to trade for him, or we get to keep him for this season. So providing he's fit, fingers crossed and all that, he'll play this year. If not, I can imagine Eric DaCosta will demand a king's ransom for LJ Singer.
So, Shane, for
So-
because of the non-exclusive, it's locked in as 2 first-round picks. That is what it will be.
That is what it is it? Okay.
Yeah, but do you think that it's worth saving the 13 million that they did save for the non-exclusive tag, or do you think you should have paid the higher amount for the exclusive tag?
I always trust Eric DaCosta. He knows what he's doing. He's a great GM. Since I think this is his 3rd season with us, he's a great GM. He knows what he's doing. But I think he made the right choice, because we don't know who's going to offer us what, and the fact that he's good, but he's not great. He is, say, mid-card, to use a wrestling term. He is not main event anymore. I think you've got the likes of Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes main event. You've got Lamar Jackson maybe a rung or two below them.
We have some breaking news, gentlemen.
All right.
The Texans are to lose the 5th round pick in the 2023 NFL draft and being fined $175,000 for a salary cap violation.
What a wafty squad. Absolute wafty squad. Pack it up.
Knock it on the head. Knock it on the head.
No, just move the team to Austin and forget the Houston Texans ever happened, as far as I'm concerned.
D'Amico, come home. Come back to San Francisco.
Imagine being an absolute trash bag side, a trash bag team that tanked the whole season, and then still having salary cap problems. Like, what? You can see why JJ actively decided to ruin his own legacy by going to Arizona for 2 years, because he wanted that much out. He wanted that much out of the Houston setup. Kind of makes me feel sorry for Deshaun.
Can I have a quick brag? By the way, just a little quick brag. Derek Carr's going where? And who said he was going to the Saints?
Yes, you did say he was going to the Saints last week.
I do declare. We do have a Derek Carr in the Bayou.
So if Tev's missed that, we had a couple of weeks ago, we were, I was the GM for the Chicago Bears, and the gentleman around me had to make an offer for my number 1 pick, and we had the actual GM for New Orleans at our door. Didn't we, Philo?
Honestly, we're blessed with his presence. I mean, he opened up so many kind of like statements looking into the New Orleans organization, admitting that he is head of a trash bag organization who is poorly managed. So yeah, Derek Carr going to the Saints. I mean, I'm interested in how they're going to structure his contract, because they are in massive salary cap violations themselves. They're going to limit themselves, which makes me wonder, is Derek actually going to a team that's going to contend, or is he going to a team that, like you said, Shayna, is going to be very mid?
Well, it's funny you talk about that, because if you look at the Saints and look at their division this year, you don't know who's going to be quarterback of the Falcons. You don't know who's going to be quarterback of the Panthers, and you don't know who's going to be quarterback of the Bucks. So at the moment, I think the Saints need to be favourites for their division.
By default.
Yeah. But we kind of got an idea who's Jets who want to be their quarterback.
Yes.
Yeah.
Going very nicely.
Brett Favre. Oh, wait, no, wrong. Wrong Green Bay quarterback.
As a New England fan, is this good news for you or bad news for you?
Well, he didn't do very well against us when we went to Lambeau. He got very lucky against us. Personally, it doesn't bother me. New York have still got a few too many holes in that roster. I don't know. Obviously, Teb's being a Dolphins fan, he sees them twice as well. He might agree or disagree with me. I still think they're probably going to be the 4th team in this division at the moment. I think they're another year away. Yes, they've got Sauce Gardner. Yes, they've got Brian Robson to come back, Garrett Wilson. But there's still a few more holes to be plugged in that New York roster than anything else. I don't know what Tebbs thinks of it, being a Dolphins fan.
For me personally, I think saying that the Jets are going to be the fourth team in the AFC East is I think that I wouldn't agree with. They were close this year, and well, for some of the season they were doing un-Jets like activities. However, for me the issue's not sort of the team as a whole. I think the Jets drafted incredibly well. For me, it's does Aaron Rodgers even want to play football anymore? For the last few seasons, it seems like being a quarterback is more of a burden than it is something that he actually likes to do.
Yeah,
completely. It's
so early this season, didn't we? With his new receivers, he wasn't happy with that until things started clicking.
He had his darkness retreat and seems to have come out wanting to play for the Jets. And I mean,
he definitely went from the darkness into the darkness.
Are they potentially saying to him, look, Green Bay never drafted a receiver. We've got Garrett Wilson. We guarantee to you that we'll pick, I don't know, Jordan Addison or Jackson Najiba and give you receivers?
And there's not a huge amount they can go out. There's not a huge amount of hitting free agency in there as well, but you can always go, okay, Green Bay have got Randall Cobb, he's got a couple of his mates out there, they can always go, right. Hopkins wants out Arizona, let's go and get him. People that, that he's going to know that that he respects and wants to go out there for. So there's got to be that carrot out there somewhere for him, hasn't there?
I personally think they're going to give him the Peyton Manning at the Broncos treatment. Hello, Mr. Rodgers. Here is your offense. Do with it what you will. So, yeah, it'll be strange, but I don't know. I just don't get the vibe that he wants to play.
Yeah,
no.
He just thinks. I don't know whether or not it's like this Californian West Coast hippie lifestyle that he just, it's promotes about himself. But when we talk about aging quarterbacks who GMs and teams have built teams around, so we can talk about Brady when he went to the Bucs, but Brady wanted to win. We talk about Manning going to the Broncos, but Manning wanting to win. Hell, let's go back to the late 90s with Elway. Elway was on death's door, but he wanted to win. I don't get that with Rodgers at all. I really don't.
No, there's something just not in that. Yeah, the same era, isn't it? It's he's had his, as Shano said, he doesn't like young receivers. He always struggles with that. Yeah, he always bitches and whinges. Got to be careful there. To the Green Bay front office. To the Green Bay front office that, hang on, you're not giving me receivers. I want receivers so I can do something. So yeah, it's almost like he's arguing for the sake of arguing.
Yeah.
I've also seen something saying that if he does go back to Green Bay, Jordan Love's going to request a trade.
So he should.
Don't blame him as well.
Yep, so he should.
It's
very much Jimmy Garoppolo there, isn't it?
I know we touched on it, but I would like to talk a bit more about this Geno Smith contract for the Seattle Seahawks.
Go on.
Again, it's rewarding 1 year of good play. Because for me, Geno is still the guy that there was a couple of years ago that could barely throw a ball as a backup for the Jets. And I feel like he had one very good season. I feel like he's going to go back into his Geno-like state now.
The thing is, though, Jets 2 years ago weren't what Seattle are this year. Jets 2 years ago was a laugh in the East. You had New England, Buffalo beating them 4 times every season. They could barely string 3 or 4 wins a season together. They had a real bad O-line. Seattle got a really good O-line. They've got a very, very good running back, and they got DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, but do you not think Geno
that's different there, isn't it?
Geno is still a quarterback that limits you? I mean,
Yeah.
against the 49ers, they got manhandled both games, home and away. I mean, we have Brock Purdy with half an arm, putting 30 points on them.
He had a full arm then, mate.
No, he had like a separated shoulder and broken ribs.
I think, yeah. Obviously, Seattle have seen him. They've worked with him for a year now. They know what they're getting from him. They've obviously had really good communication with him. And he's said, I've seen something today, that he's willing to mentor someone as well. So that's that reasoning. So it looks like they're going to draft someone.
As far as I'm concerned, that's it. That's why he's still there. He is there. You know, he's one of the better, if he continues the form that he had last year, one of the better placeholder QBs. And you know, he's not willing to go down this Ryan Tannehill route of going, I'm not mentoring anyone. I'm taking this team. Like that's what Geno Smith has got a wealth of experience. He knows how to deal with adversity.
Yeah.
And to have that with a rookie quarterback, as far as I'm concerned, that's a winning pairing. Considering the amount of draft picks that the Seahawks stole from the Denver Broncos, they've got a real opportunity to set the Seattle Seahawks up to be one of the best teams going forward.
Yeah.
So what are they? They're picking at what, 5, 6, something like that, aren't they, Seattle?
Pick 5 and then some picks.
Just imagine they go and get someone like CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Will Levis, and Anthony Richardson. Wow. And having someone sitting behind him for a year, learning from Geno, learning from Pete Carroll, you know, in that offense, getting the understanding, still pick a few reps with like a DK, PJ Walker, P Walker, and all that as well. You're going to have a really good team year 2 going forward, who's learned his trade, or even year 3. It wouldn't be surprised if they do pick someone up very early.
Yeah, I am with that, but 105 million for 3 years, like that's like over 30 million a year, getting on for 35 million a year.
All I will say is, I'm glad it's not my money.
I just struggle to think playing over 30 towards 35 million a year for a placeholder quarterback.
Yeah,
I feel like
let's
you
roll.
Want to get a placeholder quarterback, go get Teddy Bridgewater for 20 a year.
Yeah.
Or Gardner Minshew.
Or even James Winston. He's going to get.
Of course, Minshew Mania running wild, brother.
I would love to.
Sorry, Tebs. We rate Minshew, but don't like Dilfer. We're big fans of Gardner Minshew on this show.
Well, I'm famously not a fan of Gardner. I would love to see Minshew.
What's your take on him, Tebs?
He's a good meme.
That's it. That's probably what it is.
He'll win a Super Bowl one day. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Minshew will win a Super Bowl.
Let's roll on to the stars of the future and not the stars of the present past.
Oh, I forgot my punter. Hold on.
I got muted. There were so many good players put on some shows. Nolan Smith, Anthony Richardson, just to name 2. CJ Stroud was faultless in the throwing drills. Is there anyone in particular who would like to go first? That's jumped out to you. Go on then, Mr. Hope.
Go on then. I was going to go really quickly, but go on.
Okay, you can go first, Shane.
Thank you, but like I said, I'll be seconds. I haven't watched a lot of the combine. I'm not going to lie, but 2 things did stand out to me: the 4.46 official 40 time for Bijan Robinson, and the 4.36 official time for I believe it's Jahmyr Gibbs. Both running backs. Yeah. My word, is that quick! Good Lord, good luck catching those for wherever they sign for.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, there was a DB who did a 4.27, which is the 4th fastest time.
That's incredible.
Ever recorded at the combine. You know, it's crazy. Yeah, carry on, Mr. Hope.
Just out of interest, did any of you watch Thursday night after the podcast or it might
A
have been
little bit of
Friday
it, yeah.
actually, when Sauce Gardner was on.
Yes.
I thought he was very good, actually.
Oh, he was
But
brilliant.
those of you that are regular watchers of the pod know I'm a Vols fan. So I'm going to rep a Vols player, and that is Cedric Tillman. Because I feel like everyone knows a wide receiver, Jalen Hyatt, who is the sort of down the field threat. You know, everyone knows that game against Alabama, 7 receptions, 220 yards, 6 touchdowns. But I feel like Cedric Tillman is the more consistent wide receiver. I've got his drafts
Yeah, I
here.
got
He did a 4.5 for 40-yard dash, 37 vertical jump, 10.8 broad jump. He didn't do any other drills. But I just feel like he will start creeping up people's draft boards, and I thought he performed well. And the other guy that stood out to me was Darnell Washington, the 6'7" tight end from Georgia.
Oh God, yes, he was good.
I think everyone's seen that catch he made.
The one-ended, yeah.
Not only that, he ran 4.64 40-yard dash, 31 vertical jump, 10.2 broad jump. His 20-yard shuttle was 4.08 seconds, and 21 reps in the bench press. And just all round, these were the two players that I think could go higher than I thought before the combine started.
Oh God, yeah, it was impressive. I mean, that catch was ridiculous. I mean, they were talking about it on the broadcast as his version of the Odell Beckham catch.
Whoa.
That's how crazy of a catch it was. It was so good. Mr. P, anyone that jumped out to you?
Yes. Hold on.
Yes.
All right, gents. Let's get real here. What is the most important position in the NFL?
Quarterback.
The quarterback. Okay. All right. And game-winning scenario. All right.
Left tackle.
Who does the fan base actually detest more when they mess up? The quarterback or the kicker?
Yeah. well, I wouldn't know what it's like to have a kicker that misses.
So
didn't Tucker cost you a game this year?
No, but no. I have a very bad short-term memory at the moment.
Jacksonville Jaguars? No.
I want to talk about the number one kicker in the draft this year. Chad Ryland.
From Michigan.
Ryland from the Maryland
Jake Moody's
Terrapins. All right. I guarantee you that Chad will be drafted under 300. He is that good of it. He's actually the number one rated kicker in this year's draft.
So there aren't 300 picks in the draft, so I think if he gets picked, that's fair enough.
He will be picked 300. He will be picked 300. I guarantee it. There's actually only 5 kickers that are up for being drafted this year in terms of where they could go. And I actually want to give out some love to some kickers because I don't think they get enough love. It's like being a goalkeeper. When you make a save, you're amazing. When you mess up, you're like literally the number one villain in the town at that point. So Chad Ryland, watch out for him. He could end up in San Francisco.
I heard San Francisco like Jake Moody.
From Michigan. There's a lad from Michigan who is very highly rated.
Yeah, that's Jake Moody.
Yeah.
I want to get a shout out to Chad Ryland, by the way. See if he follows up on Twitter. Big Chad.
Hey, Mr. Tebbs, anyone that catches out your eye that you jumped out to you?
Yeah, I mean, this is just like as we've said, because the Dolphins are picking so late. Everyone that's a high grade draft pick, then they're not going to be coming to the sunny the sunny beaches of Miami, Florida. But
the sunny tax haven.
Exactly, that's the only good thing we got. Tax haven. And it's warm. That's it. That's all we've got. And Pitbull. We've also got Pitbull. A lot of Pitbull. If you like Pitbull, come to the Miami Dolphins.
Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide. Mr. 305. Exactly. He should, as far as I'm concerned, he should be starting QB, but I don't make the decision. So I'd say Andrew Voorhees from USC, just because of the sheer grit of tearing your ACL the day before, and then going onto the bench press and putting up 38. That's someone who just hasn't rolled over. Like, it's very like if you tear your ACL, like especially in the combine, it's very easy to literally go, well, this is the end of my entire life. So to go out and continue and put up impressive numbers, like that is a level of grit and determination that will keep him on the mind of
all day long.
Of teams and coaches come draft day and potentially from there into the future.
Well, look at David Obajayo from who's now at this gentleman's team down below. He ruptured his ACL in the Achilles in his pro day. Still gets drafted day 2.
He played 2 games. Yeah, he played 2 games this year. Did you say that his name was Andrew Voorhees?
Yes.
Yeah. Left.
What is it with the horror? Where is it with the horror film references this year, Phil?
I know we've got a Michael Myers, we've got a Voorhees. We just need a Billy Loomis. We need someone called Kruger. Or a German coming over from NFL Europe called Kruger. I mean, we could literally. We can actually. To be fair, the Raiders should just sign everyone that remotely sounds like a serial killer. Like genuinely.
Well, Zach Coon, is that their first name on the block? I heard.
Yeah.
Right. I have got a couple myself. So we all know that I'm a defensive back. So I spent so much attention on the defensive backs. Obviously, we had like Devon Witherspoon. We had like the big names going, yeah, they were brilliant. All the ones we referenced 3 or 4 weeks ago on the show. 2 or 3 weeks ago, actually, on the show now. But the one that jumped out to me, especially during his drills, especially during the backpedal on his transition and his, I can't remember what it is, one of the routes is they copied the wide receiver out, was Terrell Clark from Louisville. Looked incredibly good, 4.42 on his 40, 34 vertical, and 10.2 on his broad. His movement was really good. He opened his hips really well. His transitions was really, really good as well. It really impressed me with his movement and how he works, especially his on-call drills. His athleticism score was very good at 80. It looked really, really good. Could be a late day 2, early day 3 pick, I think. My arch enemies was always wide receivers. I hated marking them. I preferred doing tight ends. Preferred tight ends because normally they move so much slower. But Charlie, obviously we know I'm a massive Zay Flowers fan. Want him to go to New England. Love him. You know, he's been likened a lot to Tyler Lockett by DJ. Same kind of height, same kind of stats, same kind of everything as Tyler Lockett. But a lad that stepped out to me that I didn't know much about was Charlie Jones from Purdue, the wide receiver. His route running, the routes he was doing, his breakdowns, especially the ins and outs and his post routes and his skinny posts, and the catch he did on the deep ball was brilliant. Over the shoulder, watched it literally into the bucket. I think it was Stenson who threw the ball from Georgia as well. It was a brilliant, brilliant throw. But his times he wasn't too bad. He's a 4.43 40. He's 36 vertical and 10.4 on the board, and he did 13 on the bench. It reminds me a lot of playoff Danny Amendola. That kind of size, even looks like him in the face, which is really good. He's another one that's going to be another day 2, and if we don't get Zay, wouldn't mind this lad in New England, and I think he'd do really well. That's my ones. But in all, I really enjoyed this. DB day was brilliant. There's a lot of good DBs coming to this draft. It's a very, very deep class of DBs.
Nice.
It's a very heavy Phil show tonight. So let's go on to the XFL.
All right. 2 things for me. Not very long about the XFL. Ratings this week have continued to rise. In fact, I'm pretty sure I can't remember which XFL game it was, but it had better ratings than the Combine on Sunday. We can talk about whether or not that's because it's on the NFL Network as opposed to being on ESPN. But again, just ratings are going up, and again, The Rock's promoting it as well. I've started seeing it a lot more like on American TV in terms of like the promotional side of it. But the big story that we talked about last week was Orlando Guardians quarterback Quentin Dormady. Okay, he was systematically fired from the Guardians because it was rumored and innuendoed that he was actually giving away the team's playbook to opposition, which caused a lot of controversy with people, naturally. But it almost gave them a bit of an out for why they sucked so badly this season so far. So he had been sacked. He was led under the suspicion that he was doing it. However, he has been reinstated by the XFL. I don't think he's a part of the Guardians team, but the XFL has reinstated him pending further investigation. So it looks like the Guardians found out initially, sacked him, probably maybe within breach of contract or in line with that particular contract. I don't actually know where the XFL contracts currently lie, but the XFL have then reinstated Mr. Dormady with the idea of actually doing their own independent investigation into the matter. So that's actually the talk of the tune at the moment, to find out whether or not he has brought the game into disrepute. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's just a long day for a Northerner. So I don't know if any of you have been following the XFL this week. Big shout out to our friend of the show, Brandon Perner. I love watching his XFL summarizations, either like on Mondays and Tuesdays when he puts them out. But again,
That's Good Sports on YouTube.
I love That's Good Sports. Thank you so much, Brandon, so much for making my Monday morning so much more bearable. But if the XFL could sort out their passing game, because the defensive side is great, the running game is great, the fans are really getting into it. I mentioned last week about the beer snake. The beer snake is back with a vengeance. That every week they're trying to make it longer. So the DC defenders put out just like the little public kind of like message about drinking responsibly, even though they support the beer snake.
What does that mean?
They support the beer snake, but they also encourage all fans to drink responsibly, which is like its own double negative in of itself. Have you guys caught up with any XFL news this week, or am I just the spokesman for the Rocks League?
You are the spokesman for the Rocks League, but Tebs was showing something then. What did you have then in your hand?
So this is why I was so happy when you brought up the XFL. I am actually the owner of four legitimate 2001 season XFL jerseys.
Whoa!
So I've got a San Francisco Demons one in my hand. I've got a Birmingham Bolts.
Like Christmas morning.
I've got the Birmingham Bolts. I've got the Chicago Enforcers, and I've got the New Jersey Hitmen as well. I feel like I should have said something earlier in the show, because there's been a lot of wrestling references.
Oh shit! There's always a lot.
So I wasn't, because I don't normally use this point in terms of American football. The reason why I started playing American football at Lincoln was, at that point, I'd been wrestling for about 5 years, and I thought having American football on my wrestling CV would improve my. I was very young back then. If let's say Jim Ross or someone at WWE were to look at Division 2 American football, they might look at that and go, "Oh, we play Division 2 American football." So that's why it's also the reason why my hair is blonde, because I started wrestling again last year, and the character I was playing necessitated blonde hair instead of my normal color.
Okay, then, really quickly before Phil's head explodes, favorite wrestler, and there is no right answer or wrong answer. There's only the best answer.
As far as I'm concerned, the years that I grew up watching it, I grappled with it a bit through my teens. But every time I hear those trumpets, I become 12 years old again. And it's as far as I'm concerned, it's John's. Like when he came back on. I know this isn't a wrestling podcast, but when he comes back on Monday, like when I hear the horns, I'm ready. 2K23 is already pre-ordered. I'm buzzing.
You big Mark, I love it.
Well, mate, I am.
Tebs, I feel this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Yes.
Because it's that larger than life. So like, right. So he's not my favorite wrestler of all time, but I think the greatest wrestler of all time is Shawn Michaels. Oh, I love that. I love
Understandable.
that.
Oh, yeah. And
Tell you what, just quickly, I don't want to bore the honest, but I feel like I just need to quickly say this on air with Shane and Ted. Now, the reason why I think Shawn Michaels is the greatest of all time, I don't think he's that much of an amazing wrestler, despite the fact that he is. However, picture this. Shawn Michaels comes back from his injury after 5 years. Triple H, his best friend, betrays him, slams him in the back with a sledgehammer, puts him in a wheelchair. He's in a blood feud. He wants to kill Triple H. He full on wants to kill Triple H. He wanted revenge. I'm just a sexy boy. Sexy boy.
It's not right, is it? It's just not right.
Toy.
Oh, gentlemen.
And sexy boy plays, and the fact that he comes out like he's a male stripper, everybody believes that Shawn Michaels is going to be in a blood feud, and he's going to come out as sexy boy. Again, that's why Shawn Michaels alone, because he makes that theme music work for him. So Ted, I love the fact that you're a wrestling fan. With me and Shannon are huge.
Huge marks. Yep.
So we'll talk later about when you're wrestling down south, and I'll come and boo you. Essentially, that's what I'll do. I'm that type of fan.
Hashtag heel.
So
come on, Ollie, take us home.
Take us home, Ollie. Sorry.
Take us home, Ollie. Take us home.
Ted, where can we find you? Where can we find you?
Of course. So you can find me on Gridiron or sportank.gridiron on Instagram, Sportank on Facebook. I host the Rundown, which is a British university American football live stream podcast. You can search for it on Spotify, called The Rundown. That's live on 8 p.m. on Mondays, and then this Sunday we will be streaming the semi-finals for Division 2 South, which is the Reading Knights at the KCL Regents, and that will be going off at 10 to 1 on Sunday, where me and my co-host SJ will be on commentary. 2 undefeated teams, 2 division-winning teams, fighting for a spot to play for some silverware.
Who are you fancying?
I am fancying Reading.
My battery's dying, guys. I gotta go. Brett is gone. Have a good night.
He's out of here. We will link Tubbs's all his socials and all the thing on our social network. So give him a follow, give him a like. We will undoubtedly be a good duo. Hopefully moving forward. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for all joining in. Tebs, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on your show.
Thank you very much, guys.
Love to have you back on here again. Good luck going forward. Good luck playing Gladiators at centre. Although playing for Worcester, I really should back for Worcester this season.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's understandable.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay safe.